List.io.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of You Deserve Fresh Lettuce. I am your co-host Rachel.
And I'm Dahlia.
And don't forget to follow us on social media at YDFL Podcast. You can also ask Alexa to play your favorite episode. And please head on over to YouTube and hit subscribe so that we can grow.
And share.
And share it. All right, this episode we're going to be talking about, should you post them on social media? Oh my gosh, this is such a hot button topic for people.
It is such a hot topic, and here's the thing, like, even people that are married, by the way, it's not just if you're single and if you're sort of dating and if you're going through the motions. Like, I've been out with people where they're like, don't tag me, and I'm like, calm down, I'm not even gonna like post you, like, I'm just taking this for myself. But I've known of people that have actually have gone through divorce for this, if you can believe it.
Whoa.
Yes, it's that serious.
Whoa.
So I think that, back in the day they used to say, before you get into a relationship, you should talk about finances and the way that you're going to raise children and the way that you're going to run a household and so on and so forth. But I really do believe, in my opinion, that needs to be a topic of conversation that needs to be added to the, make or break of the relationship. Just because I know that it seems kind of silly if you're not on social media to think that it's so important, but it is so important. If the person that you're dating is so actively on social media and they're not posting you, it's a deal breaker. Possibly it could be.
So I know that, so for my view, I've actually heard people say if he doesn't have a social media account, it's a red flag.
Right.
I think the complete and absolute opposite. Yes. And here's where I'm coming from. I've come across a lot of gentlemen that they're busy men. They are running companies or whatever. And I can say in that world, sitting there scrolling isn't the most productive thing that they're doing. A lot of these people, they don't even watch TV.
Okay.
Let's just face it.
Yeah.
And there's people that say, I don't watch TV either, and they literally spend hours on their phone. So it's like, you might as well just have the TV on at that point. So to me, I don't see it as a red flag if they're not on social media. That's number one. Okay. Number two, if someone's not posting, I don't think that's a red flag either, only because I personally have never, in the entire time that I have been divorced, ever posted a single person. You know what I have done? I posted the 2 cups there. I posted the 2 spoons on the dessert. Right. I posted certain little things that hint.
Like the hint dropping.
Even the shoes.
Okay, so here's my question to you. So you get engaged. Okay,
that's different.
Okay, no, hold on. Okay, you get engaged. And then you go through the marriage process. You have a big shindig, you have like a big deal of you do a big wedding. Okay. And your now husband does have social media. He's he posts very lightly.
Okay.
Is that going to be an issue? Because I know someone personally that caused their divorce.
That he posted lightly?
He posted very lightly, almost nothing, and didn't post like the marriage, didn't post the engagement, didn't post any of that stuff.
Did he post before the marriage?
So he would post periodically, but he's not very actively on social media. However, he did have a social media account. So, but he didn't post the engagement, the wedding, none of the stuff that kind of came along with the new partner. And so this literally was a huge topic of conversation, kind of got blown up, and then all of a sudden, from my understanding, it was, filing of divorce, and it was a pretty quick thing. I think that they were only married like a very minimal time. So that's why I'm asking you this question. Is this a deal breaker? Because this was their deal breaker, and for me, I have to tell you, if he posts between 4 to 6, this is just me.
Oh, I'm like, we are breaking it down, guys.
And if he's posting 4 to 6 things per year, that means he's averaging out about a post every 2 months, or maybe one back to back. I think those are significant moments in your life that you should post if you are with someone, if you are engaged, if you're married. And if you're not that actively on there, then maybe you shouldn't. I really don't know.
I can tell you right now, the psychology behind this is it's kind of insane. And the reason why is because guys, they're not looking at life through the lens that we're looking at. If a guy feels like he needs to post every little significant thing, chances are he might have very feminine energy. Second, women, we're doing it. We're the social butterflies.
Right.
Social media, social butterflies. It goes hand in hand. We're documenting things. There's people that think I post my whole life, and I literally, if you pay attention, I'm
10%.
hardly posting any of my life, but I'm posting random things here and there. So I post often, but very, very random content.
Right.
And I have personally said that when I get the ring on my hand, I may post my hand in his hand with the ring. And and my joke is, people are gonna be like, well, who the hell did she do this with, right? As a joke. So I think that if I see that he's not really on there very often, maybe he's just on there because his aunts or family are on there and just whatever, because he has one, whatever, and doesn't post our engagement, that doesn't tell me anything. Like, that's literally not a deal breaker. It's not a big deal. He's not a woman.
No, I understand that, but okay, I totally understand that. But if he's posting other things but not posting that, so he's posting like, that he saw his daughter, or that he saw his son, or that he was out, out of the state and he's with them, and he's not posting these significant things.
I think we just have a conversation.
For me, it was one of those things. Like, when I heard it, it was a little bit like, is this what we've come to? That was literally, this is literally like my thought process when I heard it. I was like, wow, is this what life has come to? Like, how active you are on social media and how much you post. But that's why I'm saying, that is something that you have to kind of
serious.
No, you have to come out the gate and say, you know what, financially, this is how I want things to be handled. On a emotional level, this is the way that I am. On a whatever, on a weekend level, on a weekday level, eating in, eating out, kids, the logistics of life. And in addition to that, let's just top it off with social media. You have to kind of have like a playing field where you understand that, hey, he's probably not going to post you and you're okay with it, then you move on. If he says, you know what, I post everything but I don't want to post you, however it is that both of you guys are okay with, then you kind of move forward. But for me, again, it was one of those things, like, I didn't even know. I mean, we have this whole podcast, You Deserve Fresh Lettuce, but I just didn't really know how to come at
to that extent
to say I would ask him. He absolutely needs to do a reel. Like, you imagine that?
I think that at the end of the day, not to be judgmental, because I don't know the exact, like, the context of the whole situation. But you sit there and you go, okay, well, were they not able to just sit down and have a very calm conversation? Or was it like her being super irate or giving him the silent treatment? Because, see, the expectations that we set up in our minds, no one is responsible for those expectations. If you go into life, whether it's business or relationships, with this idea in your head that has all these expectations that have to be met, but the people around you are not realizing or aware that you're operating under these guidelines, it's not fair when they disappoint you. At the end of the day, you will 100% be disappointed. So I think at the end of the day, like Delia's saying, if you're dating someone and this is an important thing to you, you want to feel special, and you guys go out and you post something and he didn't post anything, maybe by the third time to go, babe, like, I saw you posted your cat. Like, really? You're gonna post your cat over me? Have a kind conversation, and if he says, yeah, I just don't think it's anyone's business. Cool. Like, literally cool. Like, he's not wrong. And so at the end of the day, like, what's more important, that he's showing you that he's actually proposing to you, that he's actually saying, I want to spend my life with you. The fact that it's not on social, again, I don't know the context.
But I think it's a conversational piece. It is a conversation. It's beyond conversational. And I know that I was dating someone for quite some time, and he would post quite a bit, and I actually didn't really care to be on the post. So if he didn't tag me, it didn't really bother me. But I think had he have proposed, had we have gotten engaged, had we have gotten married, and we would have we would have had this whole life-changing experience, I think maybe I would want that. I think I would then want to acknowledge the fact that we're making these life changes. I don't know that would have been a topic of conversation then, like it is now, just because of what I've seen. And I couldn't believe that this actually cost them their marriage, by the way. And but this is what we're experiencing now.
That's the stuff that's crazy.
That's what is going on.
Women, we have to remember that we are not men, and that men are not women. And like, at the end of the day, what we view as like a sign of just complete like dedication might not even be in their sphere, like at all. So that's why communication is key. If you're being easily offended by an idea. You created this expectation in your head. They didn't meet the expectation. Now you are offended. The guy doesn't even know which way you're coming or going. Like literal cabinets are being slammed and he doesn't even know what's going on. And it's because he didn't post the engagement on social media.
Right.
So to me, I think that it's a little bit different if it's someone that you know sits there scrolling and posting every little thing on a regular basis, like their social is a reflection of their life.
Right.
Of course, you'd say, hey, this was pretty significant. But someone that's just periodically here and there, it's not like a priority for them.
Right.
You know, I don't know that that's a deal breaker. Again, to whoever that happened to, I'm sorry that happened to you. I don't know the context. I just know, for me personally, I'm not necessarily looking for a guy or am particularly interested in someone that they post a lot if they're a guy, because usually they're
unless they're influencers, and that's how you guys
or their
met,
business
or their
markets
business
that way,
and they're in marketing and that's what you're doing. I think that but I think anything in life though, no matter what it is that you're doing, you just have to communicate and have a conversation about it, whether it's, I don't care what it is. If it's walking the dog at 6 a.m. or walking the dog at 10 a.m., like that is something that you have to really break down and have a conversation over. If you're going to make this life-changing, if you're going to make a life-changing decision with a person, you have to literally go down the list of things. And again, it should include social media. I think for me, before I never really posted. Like I think I'd go like 8 months and wouldn't post. Now because of the show and the things that we're doing, I think that now I have to kind of continuously post at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I think that could be a topic of conversation where I could say, I'm not going to post you here, but I'll post you there. And our private friends and family are there because I don't want to necessarily like expose my life, because sometimes you have to protect certain things in your life also, where you don't want to be so open about everything that you're doing. But I guess it matters who you're with and who you are as a person and the conversation that you have to kind of come to a meeting of the minds, as I say, and to say, okay, this is how we're going to play this.
And we've talked about this, casually in other episodes where we say, hey, he might post you in the story, but he only made that story where like,
friends and family,
you can see it.
Yeah, so it's like
and so you're like,
circle.
He posted me, and literally like 2 people saw it. And even before we started this episode, we were like, oh, does he post you on your wall, or are you in the stories?
Are you just a 24-hour story or on the wall? It's like
I think that is right. Like having a conversation is really key, and like she said, no matter what it is, whether it's your eating habits, maybe you like to go hiking, maybe you like to live an active lifestyle, whatever those things are. And I think as they arise, ladies, especially if something rubs you the wrong way,
right,
and then you let it slide and you let it slide and you let it slide, it's not fair to that other person if you're not communicating and saying, hey, and being very kind about it and just really willing to hear the reason. Because just because he doesn't post you doesn't mean you don't matter, especially if you guys are already titled up, married, you know the family. It's not like like the story, obviously they knew she's in his life, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like he's hiding you from the family. It's just, it's social media. Like, who cares?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. And I guess at the end of the day, you just got to communicate. And really that, it boils down to anything that you do. And then to delivery, I always say, it's never, ever, ever what you say. It's always how you say it.
Yeah.
So if you are not on his wall or on his 24-hour story, it's not like, what the F, you effing blah, blah, blah. You start calling him out of his name and you mother effer. And it's just like, you have to have an adult conversation, pull the person to the side, and very gently and nicely say, hey, what's going on? And that's really what it boils down to, is a delivery. I mean, you can have a conversation and be adults about it.
Yeah.
And then, hopefully that helps. And that's it.
Well, here's the thing I want to add before we close this up. I have seen people, women enter relationships with really great guys, especially high-level guys. Right. And in the beginning, the guy, she's posting like crazy.
Right.
And then it's him right here and him right driving and him at the restaurant and him. And when I tell you, one of my favorite things to do, this is kind of horrible, is I can spot when the guy is so
irritate over it.
Yes. And if you just go scroll down the wall and you can see the early posts, he's all smiling. In it. He's even doing the funny poses with her.
Eyes are moving.
And then all of a sudden you move 3 months later, 5 months later, and he's like this.
Like, seriously?
Yeah, like, really?
Hey, how about, okay, hold on. This is really funny. How about that one girl that, like, there was this one, I guess it was like a social media clip that was going around. It was going viral. So the girl starts posting like the steak dinner, and they probably could have been like a really high-end restaurant. And the guy like ducks down. He's like, "Hey, post me. I'm paying for this dinner."
Oh yeah,
Did you see that one? And it was so funny because he's like, you know what? He's a sugar daddy, and he's like literally taking care of everything. So and I always trip out on, because I've dated someone like this, by the way, which I was fine with. He makes it seem like he's a solo vacationer, but like I'm in the background. And when I go back to see the story, I'm like, damn, he does a really good job at acting like he's by himself.
Yep.
Even though I'm in the background holding his freaking jacket in his backpack. But here I am, you know, like.
And that happened to, there's a famous Mexican boxer named Canelo.
Oh, yes.
And he married this beautiful blonde woman from Mexico. And there was shortly after their wedding, he's walking down the street with all these bags, like Hermes and everything. And it looks like he's just shopping by himself. And then she takes a photo, tags him, and says, the comments, because he said, "I'm shopping," whatever. And then she goes in the comments and puts,
"No, we are shopping."
And then you go to hers, and it's the actual, like, the whole
photo,
scene with her. And she tagged him. And so it's really funny. And ladies, sometimes you just got to put the guys in a little bit of like a state of awareness.
Yeah.
Because if you don't like it and you keep letting it slide, that's only on you.
It's only going to make it worse also. Yeah. But I thought it was funny because I've been on both sides of the spectrum where I don't post the person and they obviously don't post me. I don't get offended. It's not that big of a deal, but I haven't been engaged and married. So I don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the new world, new rules. And you know what? If it bothers you, just talk about it, communicate.
Yep.
And that's all we can do.
Yep. And if you see in your photos that your man went from like, participating to like this,
like
and just being like completely same face, like it's probably time to like lay off the posting of the relationships. Yeah. All right. That's all we have for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, you can don't forget.
use our fresh lettuce. And then we got a cheers. And then don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
all your favorite podcasts.
Ask Alexa, YouTube. Subscribe, listen, share. Cheers.